strange. I love the quote from Billy on his presser when he said, "The games are coming. There's no more my bats," and
Hey,
that's like
that was
game
good.
on, right?
Hey, one thing Billy's done from day one has welcomed the challenge. I don't think this guy backs down from anything. I'm not saying that he meets it properly every time and rises to the occasion every time, but he is not. He is like, hey, look, we'll see what the score is when it's all over. Yeah. He went on this weird tangent. I thought, saying how rankings and people telling the team's good and better and all this was insulting. I didn't really quite get that, other than he's playing off the Nick Saban rat poison kind of theory, right? He doesn't want any of this praise. We don't need that. Let's just see what we can do, stick to the process, and we'll see what the score is at the end. I respect that. But it was a little bit odd how he was so vociferous about, like, it's insulting. It's like, Billy, you got plenty of insults coming the last few years. Take a little bit of praise, which he's earned. The roster looks very good. It looks like the team rallied around him for sure. The culture's there. There's a lot to like. The recruiting's been strong. So there's a lot to like. But Saturdays is where it's going to matter at this point. This is where they're going to be judged.
No doubt about it. It's the 12 Saturdays we got to think of that. But one of the things I wanted to say was I was very impressed with Billy. And, he's been up and down. We all had him fired at one time or the other. I'm one. We thought he was a dead man walking. But I've seen him now. I was thinking probably how many press conferences have we seen in 4 years? I mean, 30 some press conference, maybe 30, maybe 40 press conferences. I've watched them. I'm not one who takes down every detail on the depth chart, but I watch for signs. I watch for body language. I listen for tone of voice and what have you. And I kept trying to describe Monday night what I saw, because you can't just tune on and hear Billy. Like somebody said, well, listen to it. If you got to watch his body a little bit too. Does a pretty good job of masking it. But what I kept coming away with is something different. And I thought it was the word confidence, but it's not confidence. It's something more than that. And I figured out what it was, because confidence is something that's a byproduct of confidence that makes it more important, and that's poise. I thought he was the most poised I've seen him at a press conference. And
on Monday night?
Yeah. I think his conviction was such that, he knew what he was going to say. He had purpose to it. He didn't back down from saying it. He felt confident enough to talk about it, even though he doesn't know his quarterback, quote unquote, yet, although he does. He doesn't know his backup yet. But he knows he's got something in his pocket, and he's got a confidence that I've not seen in him. Now, does that translate? It has to translate. It just has to translate when a coach is like that. Now, what does it mean in the W's? It's like Nick Saban said a long time ago, don't focus on the outcome, focus on the process. It seems like the process is working right now, Edgar.
Well, he's definitely process-oriented right now. He doesn't he's not getting ahead of himself. Now, yes, I do feel like Billy's been more confident. He's certainly been more open. He's praising some players by name, which is something he hadn't done.
Yeah.
I mean, like Vernell Brown, he's praising. Jalen Woods, he's praising some of these young guys.
And he's saying things like, Sturdo, he's a grown man. He's making more than just mentioning them. He's making a statement about him. Vernell's ready to play, etc. And it gives us more understanding of what he's doing his team. I'm really glad he's at that.
Yeah, I mean, he is. He likes his team. I mean, he's put this team together through tremendous hard work.
Yeah,
this is a guy who watches 500, 650, I think was a number that he quoted recently. Cut-ups. He watches so much film of these guys. He said he used to have to do like 800 a year at Louisiana or more. Now he can kind of be a little more discerning, but he watches tons of players, makes decisions that are extremely important. There are limited number of people he can bring in, limited number of guys he can pay in the portal. And he's put together this team. This is what he enjoys, that part of it, as much as anything that he does is the roster building. He talks about it. So he's proud of what he's put together. He likes it and he loves the culture. Look, we had 23 interviews, okay, with players, 23. And I'm not going to say all 23 were home runs, but none of them were duds. And many of them were outstanding.
They were.
And they were 15, 18 minutes. Matthew Hutchinson deserves a shout out.
Shout out to Matthew, getting it done. Good job.
He lets these guys talk and spread their wings and get their footing and gain a little confidence and start to talk and tell their stories. I enjoyed every single conversation I had with the player. It was
that says a lot right there, Edgar. And you know this team.
Well, it's that, but it's also because he has brought in really impressive young men who are selfless, who are team oriented, who are intelligent, who, Mark Long wrote a pretty cool story I was a little jealous of. In fact, my podcast partner, Mark, that there's no number one on this roster.
Yeah.
Okay. And they're the only SEC team without a number one. And Billy told Mark, because Mark noticed it and pulled him off to the side. He said, there is no one on the team wanted one. Not saying someone didn't want it, but the team agreed, we don't want to have a number one. We
really?
All just, they are about like the team. DJ Lagway epitomizes this. You and I talked about it. In fact, I think it was on your Twitter, your Facebook feed, buddy. DJ Lagway in the tunnel or outside the tunnel at Raymond James Stadium before the Gasparilla Bowl, slapping low fives to every guy who came out of that tunnel, kind of like, bup, 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 all 130 whatever, and coaches and everything. You know how many people come to that sideline? His hands were probably sore after the end of that. He touched palms with every single person, and then he did a pivot and ran out in the field. That's a 19-year-old kid showing tremendous leadership and buy-in, and that was impressive. And that's the kind of team that this is.
Yeah, good stuff. I want to ask you about a couple of particular things, not the least of which is the rotation of quarterbacks, because no one really knows. We're going on the assumption that DJ is going to be there and play most of the time, probably a couple of series against LIU and then whatever. I know they think they have to manage his physicality, manage his injury, whatever. But I was looking at trying to figure out exactly what the quarterback room was and who was 2, 3, 4, and 5. But before I do that, there's a lot of cool things happening right now. How about the DJ Lagway move? Hooking his teammates up with these Beats headphones, which were beautiful. I saw a picture of them. They got Gator. Everybody wants them now. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, these things are
what? I didn't understand what you called them.
Their headphones are called Beats.
Oh, yeah. I saw that. Well, he's being sponsored.
I know.
He's one of like 9 players who's getting.
I get it. You know what? And they all want those headphones now. Everybody wants them.
Maybe he'll give some to the media.
No, I don't think so. Get your own NIL deal, right? But anyway, so I thought that was just another cool thing that I thought things are going their way right now. Let's get to the quarterback chart and to the depth chart. All right.
Well, I can fill you in quickly.
All right, go.
Aiden Warner is probably the next guy. He has made remarkable strides. He's throwing the ball well. He knows the offense. He's obviously a very smart kid, having gone to Yale. And it's funny, we're talking to Aiden Mizell, I believe, because he was hurt his senior year. He broke his leg or hurt his leg the first game of his senior year. In fact, Steve Wolfong, who's now at On3, but is at 247 for years, recruiting guy, he said Aiden Mizell might have been a borderline 5-star if not for that injury. So he was sitting out, but he said Aiden Warner, they played Winter Park, and he said he just laid it on him. he said he was incredible. So the kid can play. He was thrown into the fire last year. Going to Texas for your first start against a Final Four team, that's pretty big ask. And he is a totally different player than them. They can win some games with him. Can they win at Tiger Stadium September 13th? Doubtfully. Right. They may not win with DJ Lagway, but they probably can't win with Aiden. But Harrison Bailey, I don't think has beaten out Aiden Warner by all accounts.
Well, Tramel Jones is getting a lot of runs.
No, but hang on. But the most talented, explosive, impressive guy flashing is Tramel Jones. He just doesn't have the experience to run the operation. Yeah. He's not even going to be 19 till December.
Well, look, DJ Lagway didn't have it either last year.
Well, he didn't start the season. No, I know. And he had Graham Mertz working with him. And Graham Mertz, for all his shortcomings, because there are some, was extremely hardworking, cerebral guy who was also 23 years old. DJ Lagway is not able to mentor Tramel Jones like Graham Mertz was able to mentor him, and at this stage. So the point being is Tramel Jones is tremendously talented, and he needs to make strides quickly because DJ Lagway has shown an injury history now. I mean, do we really think he's going to be able to play all 12 games? I don't know. Let's hope. I want to watch him play all 12.
But he doesn't have to, and people think I'm crazy because he's good. They're good enough.
What games?
Well, I mean, depends on his physicality.
But I'm saying, though, what games can't he play? The first two at Kentucky, maybe?
Probably.
That's about it.
But he could even play a series or two there, for that matter.
Mississippi State, maybe?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, but look, if the running game is what I think it is, and I think is really good,
sure,
the offensive line, I think, and I know they're going to have the tight end really involved in the offense. They always do. They're going to be able to move the football without DJ Lagway. Now, will they be as good? No. But you tell me anybody who's got a better running back room than these guys have got. I mean,
Texas has C.J. Baxter and the kid who was first team All-SEC. But you're right. I mean, it's a tremendous room. And Texas doesn't have the offensive line returning. Florida does. Yet, but those guys, who knows? I mean, who knows who they're recruited? But forget Texas. Bottom line, I agree with you. I think they have enough around whoever's at quarterback that you can win You can win some games.
Yeah, they can't win a championship, but you can win some games.
Can you win at LSU? Can you beat Miami?
Yeah.
And if you can't, then you're 2-2 with Texas coming to town, then going A&M.
Yeah, I think that's all that remains to be seen. But you're right; they got to split the Texas games at least, and to do that and.
They need DJ. And you know what you can do, buddy? I'm sorry to interrupt you, but, I agree with you. But Billy's going to play a tight end a lot. He should. Dayton Hanson's an NFL guy.
Yeah.
But look, here's the point. Here's, though, the situation, I think. If DJ can get past his calf injury, if his shoulder is solid and they're managing that and getting him through the season, and he's making the throws that he can make, all of them, right?
Right.
You could suddenly, Vernell Brown is your fourth receiver.
Oh, I know.
Now
they can't get him on the field. They got too much
why
talent.
wouldn't you have him on the field and start spreading people and start letting DJ really attack?
I don't know.
And let's get into some high scoring situations here. Personally, you can really capitalize on having four receivers then if you have DJ Lagway. If you don't, then you might have to manage with the run game, 12 personnel, and do what Billy kind of prefers to do. But the best formula for success for this team might be unleashing DJ Lagway and this receiving core that really is looking like the best receiving core they've had in, a long, long time if it lives up to expectations.
And there's 8 guys that can play. And by the way, there's something called special teams. You're going to see a lot of those guys on special teams. Let's bring this guy in. He might know a little bit.
Carter.
I'm on with the big boys tonight. Wow, look at this. Wow. But yes, I just tuned in as you guys were talking about receivers. I would think this would be their best receiver group since they had Swain, Jefferson, Cleveland, and who else back then with Mullen?
Hammond.
Josh Hammond. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that would probably be their best.
Tony.
Kadarius Toney, hard to forget him. So yeah, it's definitely. I'm like Edgar. I'd love to see Vernell Brown the third. I think we're going to see him play a significant role this year. And
How about Aiden Mizell for crying out loud?
Well, that's he's your fifth guy probably, and you want him on the field.
Yeah, I think he's a sleeper to have a better season than maybe we expect. He's a pretty smart guy. I think the light's finally going off. Like he understands everything. If he's healthy, I mean, it always depends on health. We know that.
Don't forget about the law firm of Wilson and Wilson. Okay.
Yeah, and they're not healthy right now, so that opens opportunities.
They're going to be at some point. Yeah. I mean, they're just. I mean, look. I hate to say they're loaded, but they're loaded. And we've gone around this circle all summer long, Scott, you and I have, and Edgar to a lesser degree, about this team and the rooms they've got that make up the Gator Hotel, these rooms. And their rooms are really good. And we hadn't even gotten to Trace Mack. That guy, by the way, he looks like he's also bulking up. He's going to live up to his name this year if he ever gets a chance to hit somebody, Trace Mack. So it looks really – now I know it's – fall and everybody's going to win a championship. Everybody's up. But I swear to you, this is different. I feel like it. I'm not saying they're going to win the championship. There's a lot of things that are going really right for this team right now. And think about this. Imagine if, and Edgar, you know golf pretty well, if they had Scotty Scheffler's kind of luck, the shot he hit the other day. Imagine if this team started getting some of these breaks like this and not shooting themselves in the foot on. I mean, imagine what could happen. This is potentially a 10, 11 wins season if things go right. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win 11. I'm just saying we all know somewhere between 8 and 11, pick a number. I think I'm about 9.5 at this point in time. And we'll see how the season goes. But boy, oh boy, it's going to be a really exciting season, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of optimism the most around the program in a while. And, you know, we all know what the storyline is. DJ Lagway, if DJ Lagway plays, I'm not even counting the Long Island game. Edgar could play quarterback in that game, they should win. But I'm talking about the next 11 games. If he plays in every game, I think they win 9 of them at least. So, you know, but of course, if he doesn't, then who knows? But I do like what they have. And, you know, Edgar, we've seen it this camp. You go out there and you just look around and you see guys that kind of remind you of Florida 15 years ago, just a lot bigger player, stronger player. And, I mean, the game's changed, obviously. You go through cycles where, like, a big linebacker isn't a popular thing right now, whereas Brian the Spikes era it was. But when you look at Miles Graham and Aaron Childs, you're like, okay, those guys are elite in their era, at least from what you see in the eye test. So that's just what when I think of Florida football right now, I just think mostly this is the best roster I've seen in several years. Now they got to go out and do it.
Well, I had a great conversation with Jake Slaughter. And here's a guy, and Edgar, we talked about this. When you put together everything he's got, all of his preseason accolades and All-American last year, and the grades he's gotten, and Pro Football Focus, and one service, I can't remember, who rates the best offensive lines, offensive players in the country, picked him as the best offensive player in the SEC. Now, that's a lot of people, including a guy named Manning and what have you. The best offensive player in the league, Jake Slaughter. Now, that's rarefied air there. Now, I'm not sure how good he is, but I know his scores have been incredible. He's come a long way from the Utah game. He's smart. He told me he learned how to read defense. He has to make the calls from Graham Mertz. He said Mertz is so smart. He can look at a defense, he can tell. And this guy's got every facet of his game now. And now you're starting to hear about other players too, especially on the offensive line. So they got ballers. They got some players. And I think one of them is going to be, he may be the most decorated offensive lineman in the history of the school, and one of the great players ever come through Florida, Jake Slaughter.
Well, there's never been a 2-time first-team AP All-American offensive lineman at Florida. So if he lives up to his preseason, he'll be the first. Jeff Zimmerman was a first-teamer and then a third-teamer. But Yeah, look, he's like the leader of this team. He's an incredibly impressive guy. I don't know how you call a center the best offensive player, and
I didn't call him that.
the nation. I know you didn't, but it's Pro Football Focus did, and the nation's best football conference. That's probably being a little bit zigging where everyone would zag to me. I mean, Ryan Williams and others. I mean, we're talking DJ Lagway's on this team, but right. I mean, he has teammates. To Scott's point, if you went to Alabama 5 years ago and you saw Jaden Baugh, you saw Miles Graham, you saw Aaron Childs, you saw a guy like Cam James, and there are others, and saw them on the field, you wouldn't even blink. Whereas you wouldn't have probably been able to go take many players from, 5 years ago, maybe Kyle Pitts or someone, but not many that you would be putting on those teams and they would be getting playing time. So they definitely have some impressive, height, length, verified height, length, and speed, as Billy likes to call it.
The metrics.
Yeah. So, Scott, for quarter you read your tea leaves, what are you seeing in the depth chart for the quarterbacks right now? You agree that after Lagway, the first guy up is going to be Warner? Yeah, Warner. Or do you think that there's a breakthrough coming there, possibly from Jamel Jones or the other kid, Bailey?
I'd say at the start of camp, I would have automatically said I think Bailey was brought here for specifically as an insurance policy behind DJ. But as camp has progressed, it's clear to me that Aiden Warner has kind of gained a lot of trust and confidence in the coaches. He looks certainly better just from what we saw last year. And in talking to Billy about him one day, he took one for the team last year. I think that was Billy's term. He took one for the team. Obviously, he wasn't ready for that, but somebody had to play. He was the next man up, as they like to say. And it showed. I mean, he was overmatched. But you got to give the guy credit. He's gone and made himself a better player. He understands the system more. And I think it's clear that he's smart. I mean, he started out at, is it Cornell or Dartmouth? My mind's going. Yeah. So he started out in the Ivy League. So, I mean, he's a smart kid. So I look at him right now as the number 2 quarterback. And I think, it won't surprise me if we see, 2-3 guys in the first game. We'll see both of them, him and Bailey maybe. Who knows? Jamel Jones too. I mean, that game could get ugly early if you look at it on paper. But I do think if DJ were to go down in the third game of the season, I think Warner might be the first guy off the bench.
All right, let me ask you about this guy. I know we don't talk recruiting much around here, but I'm hearing a lot about Colton Nussmeier. And because he was here in camp for June, his father, of course, is still coaching, and it's likelihood that he may not want to leave that. But he's getting a lot. He's only a junior, boy. He's talking a lot of talk about Florida and Colton Nussmeier. You guys hearing that?
Edgar?
I mean, I've seen sure, but I mean, that's so far down the road, dude. I mean, it's like, I mean, and I'm not like just blowing off the question. I'm just saying, I think they like Tramel Jones a lot for one. Mm-hmm. I think he's kind of the quarterback of the future currently. But as you see at receiver, for example, they are constantly recruiting over you. And I asked Aiden Mizell even about that. I think that's who I asked. Well, you were in there, right, Scott? Because you have both Wilson, and you have Vernell Brown that have come in more highly rated than Aiden and already ahead of him on the depth chart by all accounts. And that's just the name of the game. So yeah, if you can get Cole Nussmeier and he's, and he's a top guy, you're going to get him. But you're always trying to recruit over your guys, which is kind of a ruthless part of the whole business. But it's how it works, man. But yeah, I mean, that's so far down the road, man.
Yeah, no, I get it. And I got, but people love to talk about that.
I know
they love talking about it, love to know what we think. We don't know. We hear great things. We don't have any insights. but that's
His brother's awfully good, and his dad was a great college player and knows how to coach the position.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he wasn't a great offensive coordinator here, but I'm not going to sit here and just, bag on Doug Nussmeier's football mind and his football background. He won the Walter Payton Award. I mean, his kids are studs, man. It's not really that surprising. And I'm sure Billy would love to have him, but he's got a stud right now. And that's the focus really, is getting that stud onto the field and 100% so that they can attack this schedule that's going to be absolutely brutal before you know it.
I know Scott didn't talk about recruiting. I'm not going to put you on that, but this is a really good tweet here. I think this is worth letting. I don't know this person talking about the quarterbacks, and he makes a good point. No disrespect to the other guys in the room, but I want to see 1.5 quarters out of Trammell in week 1.5 quarters. It's really the only other quarterback in the room that fits schematic mold. Has a future playing legitimate snaps here at quarterback. No value giving snaps to a 6-year senior or Warner. I don't know about that. But anyway, that's just your thoughts about that, Edgar?
I mean, I think you should give Warner some work because you might need him. Mm-hmm. But I'm all about developing Trammell Jones, particularly in that first game.
Yeah.
And seeing what he can do. I mean, the operation, Billy even used the word, the operation. And that's been an issue with this team. Operationally, they've struggled. So do you want a quarterback out there who's not completely comfortable in what you're doing? And then you're going to really have to limit the playbook. And if he has to play a good opponent, I mean, they'll be figuring him out real quickly. So, yeah, I think, you need to get the guy comfortable. You need to get DJ Lagway comfortable. That's
first and foremost. If he can play.
But he played 7. He had 7 starts last year, got injured in one of them, played about 9 games. And he hasn't done anything in 2025 until Monday. He hadn't done 11 on 11. So,
I get it.
Well, I know, but I mean, he's just not going to step in and suddenly it's all clicking as talented as he is. He's got to get comfortable out there. So let's hope that can begin on August 30th and then I'll have to delay that any longer.
Scott?
Well, I understand the guy who tweeted that. That's fans. They always want the next guy.
Yeah.
That's the nature. But we all know when the way a coach thinks is not always the way a fan thinks. I mean, I agree with you guys. I would be fine, like Edgar said, if you get a Trammell out there and get him some work on the first game. I think it'd be good for him. But also, the human dynamic is also Billy's got Aiden Warner, who he's worked closely with, Harrison Bailey. You want to get those guys out there too, because if the season goes like he hopes, there are not going to be many opportunities for those guys. So, I think we could see all 3 of those guys. I mean, I really do in the first game. Nothing would surprise me. As we said, I mean, that should be a blowout. It should be one of those games. Like, I think Billy had a game, somebody was telling me when he was at Louisiana, he had one of these games, and I think they beat Texas Southern like 77-6. So wow. He hasn't had a matchup like this, but maybe one other time in his career. Yeah. So I have to go look at that box score.
Eastern Washington was pretty bad.
Well, yeah, that's true.
They haven't had many. May I say something here real quick, buddy? Because one thing I don't think we're talking about, and we've been talking about him for whatever many years now, and the person who needs to show up on Saturdays this season's Billy Napier. I mean, Sunday through Friday, he's been pretty dang good at this point now. We've seen it. Saturday, I don't need to go through all of them, but Vanderbilt his first year. Okay. Kentucky, his second year. Arkansas, his second year. We had the Tennessee game last year where they really should have won that football game if not for coaching errors. They weren't ready for Texas A&M somehow last year when they weren't ready for Miami, and they weren't ready for Utah to open 2023. Yeah. So, I mean, those were hard games to open with, and things did snowball, and he didn't have this roster or this potential quarterback. But Billy Napier, I mean, that was a lot of games I just mentioned, and I'm leaving some out. that he has not had this team ready to go.
All right,
And
why yet? Why?
And he hasn't been ready to go.
Why?
Don't ask me. I mean, he's
you're the expert. I'm asking.
No, I'm no expert. There's a learning curve to everything. I wasn't ready to go. I'm still not always ready to go every week. But I mean, it's just like when you start a job and you step up to another level. I mean, you have to, adapt and raise your performance too. And I think Billy is capable of doing that for sure.
Right, well, here's one theory.
Guy, but
here's one theory. You see real smart guys who think granular. Everything they think about is they think about the deep, like the overall how it works, and they get so involved in it, they lose their place. What's around them. Coaches are notorious for being on the field and getting so involved in what they're doing, they forget about getting players in the game, what have you. I think Billy is so finite in his thinking. This is the theory that he gets caught up in the process of trying to do everything a lot. And he manages everything on the whole football team. Is that he forgets about the fact that nobody's counted how many people are on the field. He's got a guy who's supposed to do that, but the process breaks down, and his mind is not on that. I don't know. It's just one
That's
theory.
coaching 101, man, is having 11 guys in the field.
I know, but it's the fact. They do. I've had coaches tell me, I forgot about him. I didn't get him back in the game. They forget. They're like us. They forget. Anyway.
That's why you set up an operation that doesn't have any leaks.
Well,
and Billy is a really smart guy and a really organized guy. And I don't think he's incapable of doing it. I'm just saying there have been games where you're like, why weren't they ready? There have been a number of those that have been kind of like stunning. I mean, Kentucky in like the second year, right? I mean, we were like, I don't even think my seat was warm as 23-0. The Texas A&M game last year, it's like you are fighting for your life there, and it's 20-0 at halftime. So there's some things like that where you're just like, Utah, they didn't look ready to open 2023. But again, they didn't have DJ Lagway. They didn't have this offensive line. They didn't have these playmakers, and they didn't have a defense that seems to actually be potentially good, because as he said the other day, we haven't had a championship defense since I've been here. And I'm not saying they have a championship defense, but they actually might have a reasonably good defense this year, and they haven't had one in years.
Yeah, I think he's definitely bearing down on the defense. Use that word, championship. And Scott, the good news is it's gotten better. The process has gotten better. You weren't on the program earlier when I was talking about trying to describe Billy in his press conference on Monday night. He was different. And I've talked a lot about this a lot on the show with various people who were in the room, and we're trying to find the right word about why it was different. And someone said, well, he was more confident. Well, yeah, maybe that might have been. There was something else with that really couldn't figure out why. And I think I figured it out today. He had a certain poise about him I haven't seen before. It was just different. And his statements were bold and straightforward, and line about the no more of my bads and all that stuff. And he was beyond confident. He was poised.
Yeah.
That breeds confidence, doesn't it?
I agree. And I think we've seen that through camp. I remember in Atlanta, SEC Media Days, he said a couple of things up there that I'm like, oh, Billy's a little more confident than we've seen. Yeah. And I think it's carried throughout camp. As the middle of camp, he's locked in. But I did think that the other night myself. This is a coach who is confident in what he has, but also think he understands the stakes are higher than they've ever been in his career. I mean, he knows that this is the year that people expect to jump into the potentially a college playoff spot. And he also knows that I think he believes that he's finally got the roster that can accomplish that. So now you got to go out and do it. And you're talking about some of those when they've laid eggs in his tenure, and there have been some. And I was watching that Netflix show a couple weeks ago. If you guys have seen it by now, he's in the locker room after the A&M game. Yeah. And he said, look, man, when he goes like this is all on me. And I think that's probably had to be a driving force for him in the off season, because I think deep down he knows something was off, especially early last year. So I'm as curious as you guys to see, them coming out in a big game, one of those early big games. I mean, you can't go to LSU or Miami and come out cold, or you're probably going to lose. So we're going to find out some answers there pretty early on that note.
1 month from today at this hour, we're going to know what kind of team Billy Napier has, because they play Miami on the 20th of next month.
Mm-hmm.
And about this hour, then we're going to know, like, is this team, because they could be 2-2, or they could be 4-0, or 3-1, or whatever. I think they'll probably split. I hope they split those games, because 2-2 going into a bye week with Texas coming to town and a trip to Kyle Field. I mean, that it's like there's going to already be like a lot of the natives are going to be restless.
But teams get better. And the thing about it is the team he has against Miami is not going to be the same team he has against Tennessee when he plays at home. I mean,
in November?
Yeah, I'm just saying teams get better or worse during the season.
And buddy, but you got to play Texas next and go to Kyle Field.
It. Still, teams get better, though. They get better. I'm not saying that they look how much better they were at the end of last year. Teams get better or worse, they could by the time. And so I'm thinking we don't know, because if they can lose to Miami and lose one of the games to Texas and Texas A&M and still come out okay when they're playing the last 2 games of the season, depending on what else the other teams are doing. That's what we don't know.
Well, buddy, I totally agree with you. If they split those 2 back-to-backers on the road twice and then split the 2 Texas games, okay, they'd be 4-2 at that point. I think a lot of people would be like, okay,
yeah, solid
team. But I'm talking more like if we're sitting there at 2-2 in a month, and you got Texas coming to town, and then you got to go to Kyle Field, that could really set up pretty tough.
Yeah.
They got to beat Miami.
All right, I'm out of time, but I want to get this in. Excuse me for interrupting you. We got about 30 seconds apiece about what's the one game as a must-win for the Florida Gators in 2025. Scott, the one game they must win.
I've said it all season. I've said it on every show I've been on. Miami is that game to me, because Miami's been a thorn in Florida's side for decades now. Last year they were. I just think things go bad for the Gators when they lose to Miami unexpectedly. That's just my 30-second take.
Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, that started Zook's tenure just off wrong. Right? I mean,
the Muschamp era, everything went bad in 13.
I agree it's Miami, but I can pick another one. They can't. I mean, they're going to have to beat. Winning at A&M is going to be a huge game, because they're going to be coming out of some tough sledding at that point, and they very well could have 2 losses at that point. I'm not saying they will. They could win LSU. Brian Kelly hasn't proven that he's doing a great job there yet. But
I agree with you on LSU.
He's got a very good team, though, and it's a night game in Tiger Stadium. For a lot of people who haven't been in that environment.
Yeah.
But A&M is going to be a huge game, because, I mean, heck, either if you beat Texas in the Swamp, which is doable with this crowd, they ain't beat anyone in the Swamp, and then you go to A&M and win that game, and let's say you beat Miami, suddenly you're 5-1, Mississippi State coming in town, then you really got something going.
Yeah, on Ron Zook, by the way, I'll go out with this. I heard him on my friend Rob Brown's show today. They were talking, and he actually said, I'm not sure the guy, I listened to that, he said that when he coached with Spurrier, he said that Spurrier didn't particularly want Danny Werfel. I know a little bit about that story in the book. And he said he really was, until he said, I came up and I came to his home. He said, I was with Bob Sanders, when he was recruiting him. And he said, and then all of a sudden Spurrier decided he really wanted him. And, so I'm thinking, I don't remember that story that way. Do you guys remember it that way real quick? We got 20 seconds apiece.
That he didn't want Danny Werfel?
Originally, it wasn't his best choice, yes.
Scott might know more about that than I. I mean, I've heard some murmurings about that.
I don't know all the details. I just know that when he saw Werfel make that. Didn't Werfel make like an 80 or 90-yard run in the game?
That in his past, yeah.
I know. Okay, this guy can play. So
I think it affirmed what he knew, and I don't know whether he said he didn't make, but Ron made it sound like he didn't want it, which I find hard to believe. But nonetheless, anyway.
They did the all-time AP team the other day, right? All-time.
Yeah.
Tebow, first team quarterback. Vince Young, second team. I would have probably put Tommy Frazier if I'd voted, but you could have easily put Danny Werfel. You could have had two Gators as quarterbacks. Danny Werfel's career was absurd if you go look at the numbers.
Really,
the offenses, those offenses were scoring 45 a game. I mean, they were remarkable offenses.
And you know what else? You guys have been remarkable. Great job, Scott. Great job, Edgar. We'll check you out at Orlando Sentinel, Scott on FloridaGators.com. Appreciate you guys. Good job.
Of course. Thanks, buddy.
All right, guys.
See you guys.
Thank you very much. That wraps up the show for the night, folks. We're going to tell you about our friends and neighbors who sponsor this program. The good folks at Titan MRI. They're now called Titan MRI and Imaging. They are available to you for your CAT scans and other needs. And the great thing they have is the flexibility for you. If you can't make it in for your CAT scan or whatever you're going to have, then you can schedule a night appointment. They'll open the offices up for you, the locations there, and they are very customer oriented. They have 3 locations to serve you: Gainesville, Park Avenue location, at the Millennium Center, and one in Lake City, serving all of Columbia County and Valdosta. They offer the same great customer service. They don't accept insurance, and you can go through their convenient self-pay option if you like. They offer MRIs, CAT scans, X-rays, ultrasounds, as I said, easy scheduling, larger MRI machines for the patient comfort. So if these things matter to you, check them out. That is Titan MRI and Imaging. Have a great night, folks. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. We're back tomorrow night with our special guest. We have Drew Didio talking about the big upcoming event, which is happening at the Golden Ocala Golf and Country Club, the Question Center, in Ocala with Coach Todd Golden come to town, which is going to be quite an evening, and we're looking forward to that, and looking forward to coming back to you and talking more to you about what's going on here in this world of Gator sports, which we always do. I love having you. And thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.